Welcome to another episode of the So-Called Oreos podcast, the podcast where we discuss all the awkwardness, hardships, and hilarity that comes along with being labeled white on the inside and black on the outside, also known as an Oreo. And I'm Janae.
I'm Kia.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Amari.
One day we're going to do this seamlessly without any awkward pauses because
you guys are going to be like, oh my God, they're so good.
How's everyone doing this week though? How are we feeling? Life, update us, the girls. Yeah.
I'm alive.
That's good.
And that's good.
That's great.
You're alive. You're healthy. That's we got to remember like the small things. This week was like emotional for me, but I'll get into it later.
What about you, Rach? How was your week?
It was good. Friday was the 2-year anniversary of my older brother passing away, and that was a very emotional day for me on Friday. But what got me through it is just knowing he's in a better place, you know, and being able to like reach out to friends and family. Just knowing that I had that like support for comfort is always a good feeling. Honestly, it didn't hit me until like my sister hit me up and said, you know, today's the anniversary, just like be a little like patient and nicer to our parents, you know, because they're probably like remembering this day as well. And I was just like, wow. I don't mean to like make the start of this episode so depressing, but overall I am doing good, and I am happy again that I'm able to talk about it and like let myself know that it's okay to cry and, you know, feel whatever I need to feel, because that is very therapeutic and it's important, especially for me, to just let everything out. So, but again, overall, I am doing good. So,
yeah, well, we're always here for you. So glad you're feeling better today.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We once again, as always, want to just highlight the fact that things might sound a little grainy or look a little grainy for those of you, you know, peeping our YouTube, because obviously it's a global pandemic. We're not going to get together and risk our lives to record an episode. So just bear with us during this time. So, Kia, what's new this week in Black history?
This week in Black history, I'm doing 2 events on July 4th because July 4th is coming up. And let's go first with July 4th, 1881. Booker T. Washington opened the Tuskegee Institute, a private, historically Black university in Tuskegee, Alabama. The university was home to scientist George Washington Carver and to World War II's Tuskegee Airmen. And then we have July 4th, 1827. Slavery was officially abolished in New York State. In 1799, New York passed a gradual Emancipation Act that freed slave children born after July 4th, 1799, but indentured them until they were young adults. In 1817, a new law passed that would free slaves born before 1799, but not until 1827. So I just looked up that fact because I think a lot of times when, you know, we hear Juneteenth, and we talked about that last episode, it's like Juneteenth, that was 2 years where the law, you know, the news of that law traveled to Texas. And I just think with this fact that slavery was abolished in New York State, they still tried to do like little laws and said you were still indentured service. And a lot of people, you know, you just can't go from like slave to like have a house. Like you have to keep working. And a lot of those people continued to be slaves because they didn't know anything else. So the fact that it was like it passed 1799 all the way to 1827, like that's literally like almost 30 years. So I just wanted to highlight that fact because I feel like it's still relevant to like what's going on now, and it takes a long time for change to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of time for liars to stop lying, apparently.
Mm.
No, it's free.
Oh
but
God, that's
still indentured.
so funny.
Like you're still a slave. What?
Yes, so-called Oreo merch. Like that has to go on it.
That really should. All right, what's up with the Black professionals we love?
Yes. So I just have one thing to say, and that's work, live, pose. And I messed up the saying, so I'm going to say it again. Live, work, pose. Yes. In a span of like 3 days, I've binged both seasons of Pose, and I'm officially obsessed with the entire cast. So happy that the show exists in the first place, and actually kind of disappointed in myself as someone who considers her ally for like not knowing as much about this exceptional community as Pose kind of exposed me to. So just like watching the show kind of opened my eyes to, you know, what goes on in the LGBTQIA community and like the whole systems of like house mothers and houses and ballroom and like having your chosen family. So if anyone hasn't watched it, I highly recommend watching it and just shouting out the entire cast. MJ Rodriguez, India Moore, Billy Porter, Dominique Jackson, Haley Sahar, Angelica Ross, Brian Jamal Swain, Dylan Burnside, Angel Bismarck Curiel, Janet Mock, and everyone else involved in this production. You are amazing, beautiful human beings, and I'm exceptionally inspired by everything you do. So yeah, go watch Pose. This is not an ad, but like, you know.
But if you want it to be.
Great show.
Yeah, I heard so many great things about Pose. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list. I'm literally slower than, you know, anything when it comes to watching things. I'm just now like on season 2 of Stranger Things. Don't kill me.
I haven't watched Stranger Things either.
That was like 2 years old. I'm just like slow because I don't watch TV that much. But if you guys do have HBO Max, there is a show called Legendary, and it's actually like competition ballroom. So that's another thing similar to Pose. But Megan Thee Stallion is actually a judge on that.
Okay. Yeah. So I've actually like since like watching Pose, I've started to like go. So I watched this documentary on Netflix called Disclosure, which just talks about trans representation in film. And that was really educational and enjoyable. And then I'm gonna, next on my list is I think The Life and Death of Marsha P. Johnson, which is another documentary. So even though Pride Month is coming to an end, I highly recommend everyone keeping on this train of, you know, keeping yourself informed and, you know, reaching out to the LGBTQIA community and just kind of like, you know, doing the work as an ally.
Yeah, that's on my list too. I think I might try to watch that today if I have a little time. But yeah, it's Pride Month.
Woohoo! I've really been trying to work on my wrists, but I think I'm too stiff to even try to Vogue properly.
Oh, today in my workout we did Vogue arms, so it's like a workout, but it's like it's literally just like Vogue. Yeah. And it's just like you keep, and like your muscles get like fatigued, so you're like keep doing it. But that is in my workout. And I was like, it's Pride Month.
I guess we should just dive right into our topic this week, which is dating during COVID, dating in relationships, which I feel like we touched on. We were all like, yeah, why not? Because I feel like we've all had kind of conversations, like side conversations about it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I think it's just like a topic that comes up, and then we're like, let's just do an episode about it because I feel like it's relevant
all the time.
Yeah, we talk about dating all the time, and COVID.
Amari and I went for a walk the other day. What did we talk about? Dating, sexuality, relationships, the sky,
all the good stuffs.
It's always relevant. Bye, Ben.
Yeah.
So the Iris dating app actually hit Amari up, and they sent us over some stats. They surveyed 1,000 singles living in New York to uncover some key trends of what the future of dating looks like, especially during COVID. So we just wanted to read like some of their interesting stats that they got. Their first one is that singles are not lowering their dating standards during quarantine, but men are. And that nearly 25% of men were more likely to lower their standards during quarantine.
Which is crazy to me. I think that's crazy.
Literally crazy, but I can't say that I'm surprised. And I do. Quick PSA. This is not a man-hating episode.
Do we have to say that? I feel like if you listen to this podcast, you know we just keep it real.
We just keep it real.
But a lot of men will be like, so
okay, don't listen.
We're a little bit sensitive. If we're saying we're not bashing men, then take it as it is.
Continue with your PSA.
Yeah, sorry.
Basically, we're not bashing men, but men, be honest with yourselves. Y'all know that y'all have the tendency to be a little lazy.
If you ask a guy now, like, what is he looking for?
Anything.
It's she's not difficult. She's pretty, and that's it. Like, I'm like, how much lower can your standards get? The fuck?
I think it's so funny though, because if anything, COVID should raise your standards. Like, if you're gonna be in my house or near me, like,
yeah,
we need to get your testing results. Like, we need to, like, all your testings. Have you been tested for COVID? Like, all the shits. Like, I feel like it should be raised, if anything.
Yeah,
it should be raised
with a checklist.
Yeah, I feel like they're just like maybe lowering it because they don't want to be alone. So they're like, "You'll do." Yeah. Like, I'd rather be like, you know. I feel like that might be it.
I always thought men had lower standards.
They do.
I always thought that they did.
They do, because if we really ask guys what do they want, you know, the first thing is looks.
Yeah,
and then it's like, I don't know, maybe her not being difficult, like. That might be it.
Especially when they're like dating around, talking to multiple women. If your standards are that high, how are you talking to like 8 girls?
You can't. There's no way.
Yeah. How that happened. I get that.
I'm continuously amazed by men's like inability to do like small menial tasks sometimes, but their great ability to juggle multiple people at the same time. And I'm just like, a part of me is kind of like in awe of it, because I'm like, I wish I had the skill to compartmentalize things like that.
I wish I did. I wish I could be that person. I wish I could be. I'm dating 6 people at once, and I feel completely fulfilled and happy juggling.
I'm too fucking emotional.
I'm too.
I'll get to the
I don't think that's. You don't think that's like I feel like that's not normal. Like, I feel like we live in a culture where it's like people want to normalize dating around so much. And I never got that. Like, do you guys remember in Insecure? But in Insecure, and everyone was like dragging Molly because Andrew was dating around. And I was like, it's not crazy for her to want him not to date around. And like, for me personally, I don't ever date around. So if I'm talking to you, I'm literally only talking to you.
It was crazy for Molly because Molly just showed interest 5 seconds ago, and now she wants to talk about his dating life, because it's like,
I get that
you just showed interest. So I think for that's why people were dragging her.
Okay, I just don't like the normalization where it's like, well, you should always be talking to multiple people, and I was like, that's not for everyone. I just think it's okay if you want to talk to one person. I just don't see why we're in a culture where it's like, nope, you got to talk to at least 3 guys, and it's just like, if you're not, you have a life. It's not easy to just talk to 3 guys.
To me,
I have a question.
What kind of person you are? Like, not for. I think for some people that works. But the people that works with should be matched up with other people who are cool with dating multiple people at once. And I also think that you have to be honest with yourself. I know personally, I can take responsibility for my own actions, and I would kind of be like, well, I could give this a try, knowing good and goddamn well that like I really can't. I would still try it and then end up getting hurt. So I think we just have to be honest, and like, if you're talking to someone and they're like, oh, well, I'm talking to other people too, and you know you can't do that, I think you just have to be honest with yourself and like kick that person to the curb.
Rachel, you said you had a question at one point.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, so since you guys are like dating around, do you ask that question in the beginning? Do you bring it up in the beginning, or you just see how it plays out? Like how long you guys, depending on how long you guys are talking and like dating?
I let it play out because I'm still sussing that person. And so until I am in a place where I feel like I exclusively want to talk to this person, then I'll bring up that conversation. But if I don't have those feelings, and I'm not like wholly invested, then I won't bring it up. And that also like, I think that's like the timing of that depends on that person. Like I could be with someone for a month and I'm like, I'm really interested in him. Don't want him talking to anyone else. Like we need to have that talk. Or it could be like 3 to 4 months later. I don't know.
I think in the beginning, when I first started like dating, I would try to kind of play it cool and not really bring that up or talk about it. But I always found myself landing in a place where I start to get emotionally invested. And then I ask that question and the guy, I'm already emotionally invested. So it's hard for me to kind of walk away when you ask someone, hey, like, are you looking for something more serious or do you just want to hang out? And by that point, normally the guy would be like, oh, I'm just cool with hanging out. I don't really want anything serious. Like all 25, 26-year-old guys are. Sorry, not all. I don't want to generalize. There are men out there that want relationships.
We just haven't met them yet.
We haven't met them yet. So anyway, now since being in quarantine, I've been doing some soul searching and thinking about what I want in a relationship. And moving forward, I think I'm going to try just being upfront, like right out the gate, and say like, I'm interested in finding a relationship, and I'm not saying that we have, one text conversation and I'm like, yeah, I want a relationship. No, but I do plan on disclosing it earlier than I have in the past.
Like, what are you looking for?
Exactly.
Kind of
Yeah, I feel like I have like an ego problem. I'll admit it. But I like I said, like if I'm talking to you, it's like never like an in between. Like if I'm talking to you, like I really like you, that's my intentions, and I'm not talking to anyone else. Like if I'm like when I talking, I'm like, we talk, we go on dates, you're over, whatever. Like I'm not doing that with anyone else because I feel like there's no way you could really, for me, I don't see how you could really invest that much energy and time into like 3 different people and that to be healthy or to have time to do that. And if it's like, if your intentions are to have a relationship, I just personally don't know how you could half-ass that and get to that. That's just me. I could be wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I don't bring it up. I usually give myself 3 months and I'm like, 3 months we'll have that conversation. And that's because I talked to someone for like 8 months and then it just ended bad. And I was like, I should have just brought that up earlier. Like I shouldn't have let that go on for 8 months. Like people who are talking about, oh, we've been talking on and off for 6 years. Like you look dumb. I'm sorry. Like it's just, you cannot have a situationship for that long. If that's not what you want, if you want something serious, I think you should, give them see how you feel, give it a couple months and then ask. So that's just my opinion.
As a person who has been in an on and off, who has been in a situationship for many years, I'm not going to say I feel personally attacked by that comment. Sorry. No, but I think for me at least, I think the unfortunate reality as a Black woman, a lot of our times we find ourselves oftentimes not feeling loved. So we're just willing to concede and take it where we can. So we find ourselves in these situations where it's like, I haven't found anyone who wants to commit to me or love me. And so I feel like I'm just going to, it sounds bad, but like, I'm just going to take what I can get. And like, I love this person, it's like, they may not love me in the same, vein. But like, I don't know, you just kind of, you get so, I don't know. You just,
I get that. That's human. I get that. That's human. But do you ever feel like that's like, you're cheating yourself out of something better?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. But also I feel like it's hard when you're like in something to see outside of it where it's like, I know this person isn't probably treating me the way I want to be treated, but also like, when those are the only relationships you've been in, and it's the likelihood of you finding something different seems really, really far away. And so then it becomes, am I willing to give myself that time and space for who the fuck knows how long that's going to be to then, find someone, or am I going to take what I can get? And again, that's not like a healthy or good situation, but I feel like a lot of times that's a situation that I particularly find a lot of young Black women in.
Yeah, no, I totally can see that.
And I can definitely speak on that. Someone else who was in a situationship for years. To piggyback what what Amari said. It's completely that. It's this thinking of, well, I really love this person and they give me what I want and need sometimes. And maybe if I stay, maybe if I keep on being their friend and their emotional support when they need it, and then their physical support when they need it, maybe one day they'll give me what I want. I'm not justifying that behavior, because being on the other side of it now, it's like, that's dumb. But when you're in it, it's really, really, really hard to see past it. And especially like my personal situation, before that, I had never had a guy hit on me. I'd never had a guy tell me that he wanted to be with me, like me enough to be in a relationship. I had never had that. So I did not know it was ever coming for me. So for me, it was kind of this romanticized idea of one day he'll see me and want to be with me completely and totally. Like, that day's coming, but that never comes, because you can't actually change someone's behavior and someone's wants.
Yeah, you can't make someone like you more. And I've definitely had that struggle too, where it's like, I mean, a lot of times, like this last year, I've definitely trying to work on my ego, because I'm like, oh, the ego is bad. But it definitely kind of, damn, I hear the echo again. But it boosts my confidence up a little bit, because I do have like a little bit of ego when it comes to dating. But then it's like, I don't know, because I was listening to this other podcast and they were talking about he's just not that into you. And like one of the hosts said, you know, if you're in a situationship and you're not in a relationship, maybe he's just not that into you. And like, that's such a hard pill to swallow, but like swallowing it is just like easier than like living this false reality. Because a lot of times, like when things will end with guys, I'll be like, oh, they'll come back. And like, they don't come back. Like, and then it's just like, oh, maybe they actually like didn't like me that much. And I'll go back into that like when we talk more about specifically quarantine dating, but that's just something that I've really like honed into, because it's like, I don't want to be with someone who's just not that into me. I want to be with someone who's really that into me. And like, if you're not that into me, I don't want to be with you.
Right. But I think it's also funny too, not to like, but I think it's because you said that they don't come back. But I feel like for some people, those people always come back. So it's harder to also like, I think like swat it away when it keeps on coming back to you in your face. And it's like, why are we in these cycles of like these people leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back? And also I feel like I feel like the problem too, at least with me in certain situations, and I don't know if Janae can speak to it too, but like, is I like these people as people too, outside of like our physical relationship and all these things. It's like, I would just love for you to be in my life. And I think and especially as someone who doesn't let someone into their life very easily, the idea of just cutting something off cold turkey when it's like, I don't just like love you as like a relationship person, but I love you as a human being. I think that makes it a little bit like messy and hard.
That is, because that goes back to like having a breakup, because like a breakup is like a lot of times people will say, I'd rather this person die than get broken up with, because at least you're dead. It's like, I know you're gone. There's no repairing it. I know it sounds rough, but I'm just saying, like, really, it's like someone's gone. Like, there's literally nothing you can do. Like, they are gone. They're not on this earth. When someone is just, someone's there and they're just not a part of your life, and you have this history and all this stuff with them, it feels like they died, but they're still here. Like, that's another type of pain. And like, I think it's just a pain that like, it really hurts, but that's what, kind of breaking up and like ripping out the Band-Aid. Like, you're never going to heal a wound when you keep like opening the wound, close the Band-Aid. I'm going to open it a little bit. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to close it. It's like that wound is never going to heal. It's just going to keep hurting until it hurts so much that you don't even know what to do. Oh my God,
stop yelling at me.
I know it's hard. Like, I'm just trying to, I always want people, especially women, to just like, and especially Black women, to just like kind of like always know their worth. And like, it's easier said than done.
And that's why I asked that question, because it's important to, when you see those issues come up, like arise in a relationship, to like address it as soon as it does. So if you say, okay, I want you to spend more time with me, or I want you to be more vocal about how you feel. And if he or she is not doing what you want, then you know, okay, it's time for me to move on. Because if they really want to be with you and you tell them like the issues that you have, then they will work to change. And if they don't, then they're not the one for you. And that's why I asked, like, how soon do you address like what you want in a relationship? Because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time. And like,
that's such an amazing point, Rachel.
We're getting
I'm glad
older,
you brought that up.
Yeah, and we're getting older, and it's like, you know, we're starting to realize what we want in a relationship. I'm already in a relationship, but like for you guys, like you're starting to learn about yourself and you're starting to learn about like, what you want in a relationship. So that's why it's important to just address what you want in the beginning.
It's important to see red flags. And I never subscribe to this, but I know a lot of girls will be like, I can fix him or some dumb shit. And I'm like, that never is going to work. You can't fix anyone. If they are like that before you met them in the relationship, they're probably going to be like that in the relationship, and they're not going to change. Like, they can only change if they want to change. And like, chances are they're probably not. So if that's already a deal breaker and you're trying to force this to work, it's just not going to work, and you've got to move on, or you're just going to be miserable and like hate your partner for something that honestly is not really their fault. Like, they showed you who they were.
That's why I know personally, I have been, like I said before, examining my own dating habits while being in quarantine and kind of like talking to myself about what I do and don't want and trying to manifest exactly what I want in a partner. And I know, like I said before, going into a situation and not completely nailing down what I want and then staying because I don't feel like I'm going to find anything better. Like, I'm trying to be rid of that behavior because then I just end up hurt. Or even doing the change him thing. I'd be the changing queen. The emotional support queen. And once again, I'm realizing that is a behavior of mine to think, fix. Maybe if I'm here, maybe if I love enough, maybe if I lend myself in these ways, he'll eventually realize that I'm great and fantastic. That out the window. Janae is metamorphosing and growing into a new lady. So, all that being said, I really have been taking quarantine to think about my dating habits, how I can change them, and how to hold myself to a higher standard, because I have a lot to offer. I'm a fantastic girl and I'm cute as and this is quarantine. I've been working on my hip dip so I could get a fatter booty. So now, that great stuff.
So now there's nothing stopping you.
Nothing's stopping me. So why am I holding myself to like such low standards when it comes to dating? Enough.
I will say, guys, when you keep your standards high, I honestly, like, I'm saying one guy to the next, it always gets better. Like, I'm always just like, okay, raise the standard, raise it. And now I'm at the point where like, it's pretty high. Like, I think the next one is going to be the one. That's all I'm saying. I'm putting it out in the universe. So I'm saying I'm getting it. Like, I'm not going backwards. And I feel like that's a lot of times what bothers me with young people, especially young women, is that they'll constantly get in the same situation with the same type of boy with this and not learn. And I'm just like, I'm not going to judge you for like someone being shitty because that's not your fault, but at least learn from the situation and then grow. And I think a lot of times people find themselves in the same messed up situation. And I'm just like, okay, well, let's take it back a little bit and look at like what you could be doing differently or what red flags you can look out for. And I don't know, I really believe like when you set your standards higher, the universe matches it. I don't know. That's just my personal experience.
Yeah. I think COVID has like you guys have been saying, like forced me to take the time to reflect also, because I think I had started a few dating scenarios before COVID hit. So it's like, how do I want to approach that now in COVID, and also like past stuff. But I think it's helped me realize that I'm a lot messier than I thought I was. And and also I think it's helped me realize that I find myself in current situation because I'm just as afraid of commitment as other people. And so I find myself in situations where I'm like, well, you know, if I'm going to get hurt, like, I know I'm going to possibly get hurt by the situation, but I'm prepared for it. And also like the idea of fully committing to someone is kind of scary. So I feel like that's why I probably find myself more in like situationships, because it's like everything's kind of loose. But yeah, I think like even going to Janae, I think like quarantine has helped me like feel like, no, I actually do know what I want. I'm oftentimes just too afraid to voice it because I think I'm not worthy of it or like I can't get it. And then also it's helped me realize that like I do have certain standards and there's certain things I'm not willing to put up with. And like I'll probably go back into that later when we talk about like how we've really like broken down our relationship like pasts and stuff. But
yeah,
COVID has been a good time to reflect.
Yes.
And that's like I think it's just natural because I was listening to this other podcast and they were like, yeah, my therapist just says everyone's like rethinking their relationships because how could you not rethink your future? Like this is like our world's been ripped up from under us. Like we are going to analyze our future in every aspect.
I'm going to cruise on to our next little statistic, which is in-person dating is a thing of the future. Basically, just singles 18 to 34 are more likely to be going on in-person dates, while singles 35 to 64 are like, hell nah, I'm waiting over 6 months to go on a date. How do we feel about that?
Okay, so I'm going to give a little story because I was asking around for this podcast just to see, because I'm personally not on apps or anything. So I like to hear what they're doing. And when quarantine first started, I honestly was baffled. And I think we talked about this on the podcast about how the use of dating apps went up because I was just like, well, what? Are you just going to have like an internet buddy? Because like you're not going to see them for like 3 months. It just didn't make sense to me. But I was like, okay. But I know 2 friends started like talking to people regularly. And they did start like coming over each other's houses. So I guess I feel like a lot of people are willing to take that risk, to be honest. And then I think one of my other friends, she said that she started meeting up with this guy in the park and stuff. And so in the park, they're meeting here and there. And now they've seen each other like pretty regularly for like a month or 2. And now he started to come over. And then she was saying how she doesn't know if she likes this because it's quarantine or she likes it because it'll like stay real after quarantine. And I think that's going to be interesting when people like get themselves in these situations, but like, what is it going to be after quarantine? And I feel like a lot of people, like at least in the Northeast, like they're starting to like meet up, like in parks and stuff. But then you still got to wonder if like this person's meeting up with 3 other girls, you know?
I don't trust the reopening phases at all. And I think the South, like Texas, Atlanta, the Carolinas are like proof that like it's not going to last very long. So I have been like very intrigued by the amount of people I've seen meeting in person. Personally, like if we're going to do it, maybe at a park 6 feet away, but the whole coming into like my personal space inside my home, I'm just not sure about. Also, like I feel like it gets muddled when you get like physical because also we don't know the extent in which which COVID can spread. And the safest way unfortunately is like to abstain from anything if you want to be 100% sure, because I'll be damned if I like hooked up with someone and I got COVID from a man I don't really know. And then like, God forbid I pass away or some shit. I'm just an anxious person and paranoid. So
no, I think that's valid, Amari.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to stay away from like meeting in person. I think people are going to find ways to meet, especially with things opening back up. You see people are like fighting about wearing masks and getting haircuts and shit. So I'm pretty sure that people are going to find ways to meet each other in person, despite of like, the cases increasing in the US.
I think that too. But I also think a lot of people aren't really thinking kind of how, like you said, Amari, like this is not a regular thing. Like people should be concerned about, because you don't trust this. You don't know how much to trust this person. Like what if he could be lying to you too. Like I'm social distancing and he's meeting 3 other bitches tomorrow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think it's good to kind of have that. But I know a lot of people, they just feel a little lonely and they want to go on dates. But then it's just like, you got to be careful. What are your intentions? Do you want a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to really see this person?
I'm lonely too. And I miss physical touch, but I like my life.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, it all comes down to who you're around. So right now I'm in upstate New York living with my older parents who are more likely to get hurt from COVID. I'm not seeing nobody. That's not happening. And when I do see my friends, it's like We're not going to be tongue kissing. But I know that when I go back to New York City, which is a more dense population, I'm living with someone who has a boyfriend and their boyfriend has roommates. I can't tell her not to go see her boyfriend. Like, I just can't do that. So my thing is, if you start a relationship with someone or if you start seeing someone, just be smart, just ask questions and just be honest. Because at the end of the day, I'm not about to limit myself when the world could be trash tomorrow. But also, if the person I would like to see lives with older people, then we'll revisit this another day. But if we're all living with young people, roommates are going to do what they do anyway. It's like,
yes, but I do want to address the fact that this week, the average age of getting COVID was 35. So I just want to address that a lot of young people are doing kind of reckless stuff thinking I'm immune and shit because the CDC was like, oh, the average age is 65. But y'all did all the reopening in 3 months. We have the average age cut in half, essentially. So it's only going to get lower and lower. So I just think people have to be a little cautious that we don't know everything about this disease. And even from the stats, the average age is hitting like that 25 to 35 age. So I think if people need to stop thinking they're immune and really take this seriously.
Also, sorry.
Go ahead, Amari. No, go ahead, Amari.
I was just gonna say, and also, it disproportionately impacts people with underlying with autoimmune conditions, but also like underlying diseases. And the key word there is like underlying. So you might think you're healthy, but it's an underlying disease, so you might not know about it. Like I have autoimmune disease in my family, and like my dad's diabetic. My mom has issues, and I'm just like, I could potentially have those issues and not actually be aware of it because to find out those require specific tests that I haven't had. So I think that's like my kind of like paranoia out there. It's just like, yeah, I'm young. Hopefully I have a strong enough immune system to survive it. But I'm also like not 100% sure when I like see stories of 23-year-olds dying of like COVID and heart attacks and stuff and kidney failure.
That's scary, but just be patient. Like if it's real, you'll survive. You'll survive COVID. Just wait until everything is just back to normal. We have a vaccine. We have Skype and FaceTime. So
that's true.
I think just be patient, be honest, be open. Because like I said before, if you are living in a place where you have roommates and your roommates have a significant other and their significant other have roommates, it's like you can sit here all day today and tomorrow and be like, okay, be socially distant, be smart, be aware. But it's like, this shit is hard to pin down if you're living in a heavily dense populated area. So be smart, be honest with people. Don't be a dick and be going on dates with 3 different people at once. And when you're going on dates with people, wear a mask, stay distant. Don't hop on someone the first chance you get. Just be smart.
Period, Pooh.
That's I muted myself.
Okay, what's the next stat?
Okay, so authenticity is the thing singles want to see continue most post-COVID. And I can so speak to that, especially with what Rachel just said, with being patient and just FaceTime, be open to talking about what you're going through. It's so, I got so frustrated because I went on the apps before I deleted some of them. And I had these thoughts of, it's COVID, maybe this is pointless. So I was talking to this one guy, we matched and he messaged me straight away. And he was giving one-word answers, not asking any questions. I was like, this is the most pointless conversation in the world. And it just really, really upset me because it's even during this time, you can't be authentic. You're not offering me anything. You're not giving me anything. And that was that's just a big thing right now that I'm struggling with in general and going on these apps. It's if you're not going to be 100, if you're not going to give me a little bit more, knowing that I probably won't be able to see you as quickly as I would be if COVID wasn't happening, it's just what's the point?
Yeah, I think that all the time. I'm just like, I wish people would kind of take things a little more serious. But I don't know. I get it because we all have different intentions. We all have different types, you know. So it's a little hard when you have all that into one app. Because maybe he will match with someone who's just like, oh, I love this one word answer. Like, I don't know. But I get that frustration. But I would like to see everyone be a little more authentic after this because it's like we all experience this kind of together. And so I'd hope after this, people could at least be a little more like authentic.
At the beginning of COVID, I was kind of not excited, but I was interested in how it would change the dating landscape. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this will now make one thing I struggle with in dating is when deciding to become physical with that person. And I feel a lot of pressure around that sometimes. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe this, because we can't actually be in person, this will give us that space to kind of concentrate on like who we are as human beings and like have these discussions and to see if like the conversation can flow. So like that's one aspect I liked about it. And I thought like maybe this would force people, you know, like Janae was saying, to be more authentic and like kind of get into the root of like who you are as a person. But I also haven't like actively been trying to, you know, talk to too many people who I haven't already known or like linked up with. So I don't know if it's different for other people out there.
Surveys are showing that video dating is not making up for in-person connection, which I feel like is...
That was shocking, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Video dating is not making up for in-person connection.
I would have never expected video connecting through video to make up for in-person, because like in-person is, there's just so much you can get from an in-person interaction with people based off of like body language, how they're interacting with other people around them, that like video doesn't give you insight into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's true.
I'll break down the stats a little bit more on this one. 58.8% of respondents are no more willing to try video dating now than they were pre-COVID. Though of respondents, females are more likely than males to try video dating. Shocking. Respondents aged 18 to 34 are nearly 12% more willing to try video dating than respondents aged 35 to 60, which I think that is. Once again, what we said earlier in the show, not saying all men are lazy, but the stat speaks for itself, don't it?
I really feel like you do not have to say all. I feel like it's kind of like how we don't have to say, like, we get annoyed when white people are like, not all white people. Like, I just feel like it's the same thing. Like, I shouldn't have to say not all white people. Like, we know.
You're right. The men who are not problems won't.
They won't feel a certain way about the stats or what's being said.
Yeah.
But I do think
who you are.
Right. But I do think not in general, but, you know, I think you have a lot more women who tend to be willing to bend or make, or not make exceptions, but like adapt to a certain situation to make it work. And I think that shows in the stat why more women are willing to video chat than some men.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is something that women are taught when they are younger. I think women are taught that you need to be more amenable and soft and ready to bend. And, you know, I think that's what we're taught growing up. And I think that we follow that through into adulthood. And that's why in a lot of cases with dating, women are willing to bend their morals to find the guy. I mean, shit, we see that in Disney movies. Ariel, like,
give up her freaking voice.
Give up her voice and her cool ass fishtail.
Oh, man.
You know, I mean, we're taught that. We're taught.
He was ready to drop her for another woman.
He was ready to drop her.
And do you guys know the original story of A Little Mermaid?
Isn't it really dark?
In the original story, she commits suicide.
Wait,
like really? she jumps off the boat without her like fishtail and commits suicide.
Yeah, it's like a really dark story. Actually, Disney kind of like twisted it, to be honest.
Oh shoot!
Why does Disney do that?
Disney is sad.
Like
every
with
story is
and Gretel.
A lot of them are like dark. Yeah. The original stories are like dark.
They should stay dark.
That's the reality, right?
Yes.
But then they can't make money because who wants to go watch a story about a mermaid committing suicide over
Imagine like putting that on Nickelodeon, the ads. See this with your 2-year-olds.
Our next stat is that survey reveals nearly 60% of respondents are more open to long distance dating during COVID. That's not surprising.
I don't know. Long distance is a lot. I don't know.
I think I'd be so good at long distance.
Oh, I'm a great long distance. Listen, honey.
I couldn't do it.
I don't want to, but I feel like I'm good at it.
I could do it.
I don't want to, but if I found the right person, I could definitely do it. If I found the right person, I think I would be chill with so much. Like long distance, if we're both committed to each other, I don't get the issue.
Right.
I feel like my issue is it's either I'm not or they're not. It's never like we're both.
Yeah.
It's just like
we're not on the same page. If we were, I'd be in a relationship right now, wouldn't I?
Yeah. Dad asked me to.
But then it gets complicated because someone will have to decide to move or, you know, like...
We can find a city that we both like and move there together, or...
It doesn't always work that way.
Or I can try to work remote and then meet you. You can try to work... We can work it out. We can go through all the possible scenarios and find one that best suits us.
The only reason I would say open to it because it's like they were here before and I know what it's like before and then they move. So it's like, fine, I'll make it work. But, you know.
So you wouldn't start out long distance?
I don't think so. I think that's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting out. Mm-hmm.
I would do a long distance situationship. Like, I don't have to see you every 3 months. Sure. I can do that.
I mean, if you fly me out.
Yeah, you fly me out. Yeah, you would have to fly me out. Come on now. I'm not going into my savings for this. Like, let's raise that standard, guys. Make sure they fly you out.
If you're in a long distance relationship, I definitely think it would make sense to go like halfsies on a plane ticket for each one because it's like you're both trying to get something out of that.
See, I thought that, and then I met one of my best friends. Her boyfriend moved to LA, and that boy be paying for her flights to come out there.
Oh, well, if you want to do full, that's okay. But like half that, we can meet each other halfway too.
We can, but let's raise that standard.
I can't even get a man to commit to me.
It's okay. We're raising all of our standards. We're raising it. You know what? I think life is too long to be with someone you are like so about, you know? Like if I'm going to be here on this earth and I have to spend my time, I want to spend my time with someone. Let's raise that standard.
Does that mean I have to pay for his ticket too when he comes out to visit me?
No, girl. I want you to make a lot of money. Like I'm not saying that's a requirement, but I'm just saying if I had that option, let's go all in. Let's go big or go home. Literally, I'm going to go home to heaven if I'm not going to get this. Like...
So you want a ball player or a rapper? Like, she wants
no. I don't want that lifestyle. I'm just saying it just made a lot of my friends, because 3 of my friends, like they have boyfriends that literally just like take them on vacation, pay for their bills, all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's shoot for that. Okay, I've never had that.
Questions. Who are these men and who are these women?
They're not black.
Okay, there we go. They're not.
They're black women. They're black women.
They're black women?
Yes, they're black women, and they have dudes paying for their flights, and they're paying their rent. Yes, they do.
Significant others in tech?
2 of them are tech. One's medical.
Okay, see, but like if you got it like that, we can do it. But like, I'm not gonna be like, we're both out here hustling, and on top of us both hustling, you need to also pay for my ticket.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if I had it my way. If I had it my way, I want it all. But I'm not one of those people that are like bougie and it's like, you have to make $100K and you have to pay for my rent and I don't need all that. But I'm just saying, if we're gonna go big, let's go big. Does that make sense?
You know,
in the Disney movie, yeah.
No, it's real, Rachel. It's real.
I'll be economic. I'll be economic.
I know, I'm too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, I don't know. I'm very like everything should be equal in a relationship. Unless no, listen to me. Unless my man really, really has it, like he has it, then
don't you want your man to have it? Don't you want him to have it?
I would want that, but I feel like I'd be dreaming, and that's why I'm like, maybe I need to.
I think you need to change your mindset of you think it's a dream.
But at the same
why is it a dream? It happens.
But why does he also? But like, I think the thing too is like, he can have it in different ways. Like he doesn't have to be balling like that, but he can have it in the way he takes care of me as a person.
For sure.
Like he's doing X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I mean, like, if you have it like that and you want to do that, I'm not going to stop you. But I'm also like, I think, but this is all like just dream world, right? Like,
it's not a dream. I don't think it's a dream. I think, I'm not saying I need all that. Like, what my qualities in a guy, if you look at my list, it's never about money or like you have to be a model or stuff like that. It is about like who you are, and that's a fit for me. Like, but if I had to, pick a dream guy or whatever, I would want you flying me out and stuff and pay for that, because look, you could be poor alone. I could be poor alone. Listen, I don't have debt. I don't have anything. So like, if I'm coming to the table, I don't have any debt. I'm not one of those people where I have credit card debt, a bunch of student loans, whatever. So yeah, I'm going to need something in return. Like, I don't want to be paying for me to fly out to see you. Just hypothetically, I can here and there, but just like, there also needs to be like, I know I bring a lot to the table. Like, if we want to talk about money, looks, fun-wise, ambition, like, yeah, I'm going to like raise my standards higher. Like, that's just how I think about it. And then I see my friends personally where their boyfriends do literally pay for them to go on vacation. They don't pay a cent. Like, and I'm just like, wow, that is nice that someone would take care of you like that. Like, I would like to feel that way.
I would like that, but I don't expect it. That's where I sit. I would like that, but I do not expect it.
I guess, and two is like, if I need to make sure that you're doing this because you want to do this, and I don't want a man to ever feel like he has ownership over me because he paid for X, Y, and Z. Like, I can pay for X, Y, and Z myself. It's one thing, like, I can pay for it. You can do it for me if you want, but I don't want like someone to feel like, I don't want it to come back and bite me in the ass and been like, well, I've been supplying your lifestyle for X, Y, and Z.
I get that too. And my friends who their boyfriends are doing this, it's like, they're out here making six figures too. Like, it's just like, they're not bums. Like, they make a 6-figure income. So they, even if they wanted to be like, oh, I don't want to, like, they're completely fine on their own. Like, they're balling out too. So I just feel like, they know their worth, and like, okay, I make 6 figures. I want you to make 6 figures too. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I'm just see that lifestyle, and I'm just like, okay, I like it.
So with me and my boyfriend, we both work. We have great jobs. There's certain things that we both pay together, and some things that he pays. You know what I mean? It just depends on like balance in your relationship and what you guys do together. Like Janae said, it's. What did you say, Janae? I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Huh?
I said I would like it, but I don't expect it.
Right. Like it sounds great, but in reality, if you're dating someone who, doesn't make 6 figures, but, works and will put the time and energy to like make the relationship work. And there's things that if you financially that you guys discuss and you guys work with together, like if that's what you want in your relationship, then that's what you want and that's what you will work towards to make it work.
If he was like a teacher,
it's okay if you, it just depends on their occupation, one. And if you don't want someone who works, who has a teacher's salary, if you want someone who's 6 figures, then, you'll have to go out and pursue that person.
Yeah. For me, it's not about, and I don't want to come off as like a bougie, whatever, because I'm not, but it's like, it's more about like what you like to do. And like, I don't want to come home to someone who so you can make 6 figure in like finance or whatever. I don't want you coming home complaining to me about your finance job, because I'm really not about that. Like, I take my job seriously, and I really do pursue like my full-time job is what I love to do, and like outside what I love to do. So it's not going to be a match, even if you do make 6K and you're coming to me complaining about you hate your life and you hate your job. Like, so I'd much rather you be a teacher and be like, I love kids, I love education, I'm going to pursue that passion. And yes, I'm not making 6 figures, but I am a good like husband.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It's not all about their occupation and what they make. Yes, that is helpful, but you can have someone who makes 6 figures and is an asshole and doesn't treat you
for
right.
Sure. Yeah. I definitely am not condoning that, but I'm just like, okay, I'll raise my standards all around. I'll manifest that.
Okay, the last little bullet point we have is that values matter. You're being judged based on your social distance practices and choices with dating. And I can totally speak to that. I was talking to a guy when things were like bad in New York State, like the height of it all. And he lived further downstate, but not in like New York City. And he was like occasionally hanging out with friends and stuff. And I was kind of like, ooh, he risque. He really risking it all. And it was like, yeah, I'm just hanging out with a few friends. But it definitely felt like when things were at the peak, it was like even the thought of hanging out with a few friends, because like I said before, you hang out with two friends. Are they hanging out with other people? Or is it like they ain't hanging out with nobody? Like, how do you know that? Mm-hmm. So that was definitely like, it was maybe it wasn't a firm, like, judge, you're horrible. It was like
but it's unattractive though, if you're not going to take care of your health and your body.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to. Like and it's also like, maybe you're just a little selfish too. Mm-hmm. Like that. It can just be about social distancing, but it's like, maybe this person is like a little selfish, or like maybe this person doesn't really give a shit about like their health, or like even this country, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would see that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely telling. And then, but like, it's hard too, because at the same time, it's also like, I think everyone has a threshold for certain things. And it's like, you know, I feel like being completely isolated from people is like a lot, especially if you're a person who's used to like physically being around with people. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna judge some of your choices, but at the same time, it's kind of like, like, if you're gonna go around people, just be like smart, like make sure you're actively socially distancing yourself and like wearing a mask. I won't be judgy off of that if like you're with a group of 3 people and you're, you know, adhering to certain rules. But it is hard, because I'm just like, it's hard. How long can you not be like physically near people, especially if you're socially distant, especially if you're like you're quarantining or socially distancing yourself, like by yourself, like people who live alone and like aren't in relationships and like aren't near family. Like,
that's true, Mari. That's a lot.
Personally, it's like things just aren't. This entire situation is not black and white. I don't think it's easy to be like, oh, well, you're an asshole for seeing people. I don't think it's easy to be like, how could you not hang out with people? You're so alone. I think it's like, it's a mixture. It's a 50-50 where it's like, you're hanging out with people. Are you putting other people at risk? But at the same time, I get it in such a hard time, like needing emotional support and needing to see people. Like it's hard. It's just not black and white.
I don't really feel like the people who are going out into public spaces and not wearing masks or socially distancing, like going to like grocery stores, all these, y'all are actually assholes.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I feel like
going to a grocery store and you're like, I'm not going to wear a mask. We all see those middle-aged white men and
women. We see you, Karen.
It's always middle-aged white people. That's what I've seen in my experience. It's always middle-aged white people that out here not wearing masks, and they looking you dead in your eyes, waiting for you to say something because they want to start a fight.
Okay, I haven't gotten to that point yet, because I'm not dealing with all like that.
I've seen videos of it happening in Jersey too. So I'm
oh God.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I like went to the grocery store with my mom one day, and there was someone just passing by us without a mask, and I was like, "Don't move, because these people just don't care."
Yikes!
Sorry, I feel like I cut you off, Rachel.
No. I was agreeing with what you were saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do we want to go into like a more personal dive about COVID?
Sure.
I'm going to go later. Someone else go first.
I'll start since like
Rachel is in a relationship.
Since I'm in a relationship, so I'll start and then y'all end with what you guys have to say. I've learned a lot about like myself and my partner while being quarantined. I've learned how to appreciate being alone by spending time with myself and also with my boyfriend. One thing that was really big for us was communicating about our likes and dislikes. I wasn't worried about being quarantined with him in the beginning. I was actually like looking forward to it, but I was concerned about being bored. That was my biggest concern. But like, we got through it. We found like activities and things that we can do together to just help us get through this time. Yes, we argued a lot. And that's bound to happen, especially when you're in the house with them like 24/7. Like that is bound to happen. But it's also healthy to argue, you know, especially when it's not healthy when you guys are both like shouting at each other, not listening. I also learned that you have to be patient and kind and learn to listen and not listen to reply, but listen to understand what the other person is saying. And so for me, what was key was working on myself and like my relationship every day. I just started going back to therapy, working out, you know, taking time for myself and doing things that I know will make me happy, because my happiness relies on me. I can't rely on anyone else to make me happy. Yes, you know, being in a relationship with someone else, like together, you guys should be happy together, but you're going to get disappointed because you expect things from your partner that you're not getting, and then you lash out on them instead of realizing that these little things I need to work on myself because I feel some type of way about whatever it is that you're feeling. So overall, so it's a journey, and I'm happy with where I am today, and like everything that I've gone through. I've seen a change in myself. I've seen a change in like my relationship, and I'm excited and I look forward to the future.
That was such a good start. Yes.
It's just going to get messier and messier.
It's probably going to get... Guys, that was the best story you're going to hear this whole episode. Listen, there is hope in the world. I'm glad you said that, because I feel like a lot of times, a lot of like these articles and stuff focus on like the bad things, but it's like there could be a lot of good things.
Yeah,
especially right now.
I'll go next. So in the beginning of quarantine, or actually before quarantine, I was on Hinge, using that. It was cool. And right before quarantine, like in February, I started talking to this guy that like we were really interested in each other. We got along and stuff. And then as quarantine happened, we were still actively talking to each other. Then we were even talking about maybe trying to figure out how to see each other. But that kind of waned as the number of cases spiked in New York. And then honestly, things kind of faded out between us. We like talked every now and again, but things just kind of fell through. And just a general note about myself and reevaluating what I want in a person during quarantine, that kind of led me to sit down and think about what I want, and kind of the knowledge that during this entire thing, I'm willing to get to know someone. I'm willing to go on FaceTime. I'm willing to talk and text with someone and you know, try to build a relationship. But the big thing for me is like, I'm not willing to do this alone. And I think in the past, I would have given a lot of space for that. But now I'm just kind of like, well, I'll be here, but you're going to have to do the work of hitting me up and trying to pursue this, because I'm not about to be in your face hitting you up. Like, that's not happening. I'll put myself out there. I'll let you know I'm here. But other than that, like, if it dies, then it dies. And that's it. I'm not chasing it. I'm not resurrecting it. I'm not giving hell of time to it. I did end up deleting Hinge and stuff pretty early on, because I was just like, well, I like this guy. I'm talking to him. I don't feel the need to push conversation with other people when half these people I'm talking to aren't even giving any energy or effort toward it. So I did delete Hinge. But recently I downloaded the app for Black people while dating.
Okay.
Yes. So far it's trash, but that could just be the area I'm in. So once I move back to Brooklyn in like a week, we'll see.
What type of people are on it? Can you give us a little? Because I mostly heard it's trash. So I'm like,
well, no. It's Syracuse. So yeah. Like Janae said, kind of.
But what type of Black people are in Syracuse?
To be completely honest with you, a lot of the Black men are in Syracuse already have children. They are, the man that I'm looking for is fully educated, has a 401k, is constantly interested in bettering himself, doesn't have kids yet. And I find that a lot of the Black men in this area that have that left Syracuse. And the ones that have stayed don't necessarily have what I'm looking for, aren't, to be harsh, on my level. So scrolling through the apps, I'm seeing a lot of like, I do have kids and I take care of them. And it's like, good for you. I'm happy you take care of your kids, but I'm 26.
I'm sorry. That's literally hilarious. It's like the bare minimum. Like, yeah, you should take care of your kids.
Yeah. And for me, it's like I'm scrolling through it on Syracuse and I'm just like,
okay, so maybe in Brooklyn it'll be a little better.
And maybe in Brooklyn it'll be a little better. Fingers crossed.
Update us.
Yeah, I'll update the podcast. I'll let everyone know. But yeah, that's me right now. But I'm just going through what I want and trying to stay as honest as I possibly can with my standards and what I want.
That's good.
I love it.
Amari, you next?
Yeah, I'll go. I just want to start off. I hope you all remember back when we did our New Year's resolutions post or episode, I said I would like to think about men less. And I just think the world is weird because I am currently thinking about men a lot less due to COVID and the current position we are in with this racial reckoning that America is going through right now. But before COVID, I did end up going on a date with someone who I was pretty excited about. And that was the last in-person date I had, and COVID just ruined everything. And our communication has been kind of like in and out. And, a few other people who I have spoken with and talked to in the past have kind of like re-entered, and I've been having conversations, but it's all kind of like, I feel less committed and like serious about everything, particularly relationship wise, because it's just like my mind is kind of like just all over the place. And I find myself more so focusing on me, my work, what I want in the future, and kind of like zooming in on those things. But it also has kind of like made me, I think, rethink about like relationship wise, what I want from a person, what values I want them to have, and like what things I'm not willing to put up with. So like all around, if you're not, as pro-Black as I am, as if you're not thinking about the community and how, we need to like make sure Black people are always in the conversation. If you're kind of not on the same page as that, then I don't want it. Like, I don't want to have to be in a relationship where I have to explain why the sexism of J. Cole's lyrics is problematic. I don't want to have to discuss why people are out there, protesting and like looting and vandalism may be a part of it. Like, I don't want to have to explain the roots of that, just like different things. I'm just like tired. I'm like tired overall. So my threshold for the bullshit that men like to bring into my space is very low right now. And I think that's a good place to be in.
Yeah, you should put those walls up. I totally get that on the it is exhausting. You do not want to explain these things. Like, and I was a little patient with my ex-boyfriend just because he wasn't from this country and he was not Black. I didn't have to like explain a lot because I would not have done that. But sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't want to have to do that. Like, it's tiring. Like, I don't want to have to like explain to you why these things are happening. Like, I'm not a teacher.
Especially, I think also too, right, you're not a teacher. You weren't put on this earth to like, specifically educate these people, even though you can do it in the process. But also, like, I don't want that to be in like my relationship space where I feel like I'm always having to like reaffirm and explain my existence, particularly as like a dark-skinned Black woman. Like, if I have to explain like any part of that existence to you, then it's kind of like we can't.
And really. You definitely shouldn't have to do that if like it is a Black man too. And that's frustrating because I'm like, I shouldn't have to tell you why your people are acting this way. Like, we are both Black. Like, I don't understand how you don't get that, or like how you can be so gung-ho about Black Lives Matter, but when it comes to like trans people or women, you just don't see it.
Right. I'm not here to like educate. Like I'm done with the misogyny, the transphobic, homophobic, like attitudes. Like I can't deal with it. So
absolutely not. Yeah.
Right. And to some people, they're like, oh, you're too harsh. Like you're anti-men.
Hell no.
People will literally do that. And it's just like, no, I'm just like, that's just like not acceptable. Like
that is so dumb to tell someone that because you don't want someone who's homophobic or sexist, you're asking for too much. What? That's insane. That's a no. And also, like, if we really want to think about it, like hypothetically, like say you're a little older and you want kids, you also have to think about if I have a child and this child is gay or trans, think about the trauma that child's going to have knowing that his mom knew his daddy was transphobic, homophobic, and now like you're just ruining like another child's life. Like it's just a lot of things that people don't think about. And I'm just like, you guys are so okay with dating homophobic men and stuff. And God forbid you have a kid that's gay. Like, God forbid, like, you know what? It's like, I'm not. And if it comes down to it, obviously I'm going to protect my child over, this man. So it's like, okay, so now our relationship's done. He doesn't have a dad. It's just a lot of things that people need to think about too.
Right. So like, I don't like, as an ally to the community, as someone who, has friends who identify like I want, and like you said, like I'm thinking towards the future. I'm okay with it. I embrace it. I love that. I think it's beautiful. And I think the world would be very dull if trans and queer people were not in the conversation, we're not here. So like, if that's not like, if you don't have that same mindset, like, again, like we don't need to talk, like we don't need to have a conversation.
And whoever said that's too much, it's like, that's exactly why we are where we are in the world. And then people are like, I wonder why cops kill Black people. It's like, because you guys date and fornicate with these people that are racist. Fornicate again. But you like date people that are racist and you're like, well, I don't understand what's wrong with the world. It's like, maybe we should stop engaging with those type of people. Like, it's the same thing.
Y'all are preaching right now.
Yeah.
I'm mad that someone told you that's too much. I'm sorry. That really pisses me off.
I'm just saying, like, I'm saying in general, like, I'll be having conversations with people, and I feel like a lot of the times it's put on, like, as a woman, I'm not being, like, as understanding, or like, I'm not making, like, I'm being too, like, quick to, like, push people to the side, and like, maybe I should take more time to, like, educate them on some things. Like, maybe I might be the bridge to them than, like, thinking differently. And I understand that, like, if there is no one there to educate people, like, how can we expect people to, move forward? But at the same time, that is a lot to put on one person. And I don't, as like a 25-year-old, I don't want to have to deal with someone who's my age and doesn't like, who hasn't already, done the work to educate themselves. I'm sorry.
And real quick, putting that responsibility on Black women's shoulders is something that this country has done for too long. And I think that is the problem that we all had with J. Cole's lyrics. You're putting responsibility on Black women to constantly educate and nurture people. And then we absorb these roles and don't give ourselves enough love and don't, give ourselves higher standards because we think that it's just our job to take care of people. It's not our job to educate you on how to be a better and more accepting person. It's not a Black woman's job. I'm rebuking that. Rebuked. Done.
Rebuke?
Where's the holy water?
It's Sunday, y'all. And you would just now be getting out of church. Yeah, no, I personally, I hate that because I think a lot of times people will like to tell women and Black women, like, your standards are too high, like, whatever. And it's like, if we want to think about it, like, what I want is what I can offer to the table. I'm not asking for anything crazy. Like, me asking for what I want is literally what I can bring and more. So it's like, I think it's only fair you can ask what you can bring. Like, so a lot of ugly dudes are out here like, I want a model. You can't bring that. You can't provide that. So you cannot ask for that. Or you want someone to, I don't know, like, take care of you hand to foot, but you can't even know how to cook an egg, then you cannot ask for that. So I just think it's like, when people talk about standards, it's like, just because you can't reach them doesn't mean someone else can't. So I think a lot of times guys will be like, your standard too high. It's just like, just because you're not in the playing field, like, just get out of here. Just get out.
And you know what? Side note, real quick. When I ask for a guy who is above 6 foot, I am not a girl who's like 5'2" trying to date, because I'm so absolutely sick of people when they ask about my standards, and people will specifically be like, so would you date a guy shorter than you?
You shouldn't have to.
I shouldn't have to. I know statistics wise, it's going to be harder for me. And I am becoming more willing to date someone shorter because I know just numbers, just a numbers game. It's harder. But I hate when people come up to me, you should date someone shorter. You should think about that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I am not a girl who's 5'2" looking to date a guy who's 6'2". No, I am 6 foot. Damn it. 6 foot. I'm not being ridiculous in my standards. I have had people tell me that my standards are too high because I would prefer to date a guy who's 6 foot or above.
What?
It takes a certain type of man to also be willing to date a woman taller than him, because let's not act like men don't have some complex about that.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. Because I'm not the only one here. Okay,
Nah, that's crazy. We should do an episode about standards. I guess it's my turn. I'll try to make this quick. So I don't know. It's funny how you guys were saying how quarantine has made you reassess relationships and stuff like that and what you want and all this stuff. So I personally feel like I was in that phase before COVID, like a little bit before COVID. So it's been a little weird for me. So I'll just give like a kind of background story without giving my business, because I don't want y'all really knowing that much, to be honest, but I guess you have to know. So I'll just say, like, okay, this time last year, I was talking to someone and it ended bad. Like, it really hit. It was like a huge hit to my emotional and like mental health, and it reassessed the way I was thinking about, relationships, and it was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. And then I was kind of just like in this phase where I'm just like, okay, whatever, I guess I'll just, be single for X amount of time. And then I met someone in the fall and it was really, really good. Like really, really good. Like really great connection. He like reminded me of my ex, but like all the good things and more. So I was really excited. And then he moved. And that sucked. But we've talked here and there. I saw him like a little bit before COVID, like in February. And then I saw him not too long ago. And that's the first time in like 4 months. So it was pretty long. And before that, I was pretty content with like being at my parents' house and like content with my love life, because I was just like, okay, I can't control anything. It's COVID. I'm pretty calm at my parents' house. Like I feel pretty good, like whatever. And then I guess just like seeing him, I only saw him for like a couple of days, and after that, and like being in my apartment, and it just kind of like made me realize like, wow, COVID is like really happening. Like I was back in my apartment. It just hurt because it felt like this is like used to be my life, and like it's not my life here. Like it just really, I didn't really like realize until I was back into like the space where I would have been at, and it really like took a hit to my mental health. And then like him leaving, I was just like, wow, that was like such an extreme dopamine rush to like an extreme low, because it's like I hadn't had anything for like since March, and then it's like extreme high, then they leave, and then it's like, okay, now I feel super lonely right now. I feel super depressed. I don't know the next time I'll see him. That just made me really, really sad. And then I also, like I said, like before, like meeting him, it just kind of switched my mind where I was like, okay, I know exactly what I want. Like I already knew what I wanted. I know exactly what I want. I've been in a good amount of situations. I'm like pretty sure that like I'm getting there. Like I feel it in my heart that I'm getting close. Like I'm getting close to meeting the person. I just feel it. It's in my heart. And so now in this situation, it just kind of makes me really sad, because I think like this specific person being away, and like his kind of like where he is right now in his career and stuff, I also don't think he would like even want a serious relationship long distance. So I kind of had to just like accept that. I'm really grateful for when we do get to see each other and we talk here and there and the X amount of months, and I'm completely okay with that. But I do have to just accept the fact that, maybe they're not in the right space to have long distance relationship. Clearly that's not, the space, and I just have to accept that and be okay with that. And then it does make me sad on the other end because it's like, okay, I've accepted that. So I obviously want, to meet new people and explore someone who can offer that. And that makes me sad because I'm like, well, when would I meet someone? And ideally, it would probably be like another year. And so thinking of it like that makes me a little sad because it's like, wow, I'm not even going to get the opportunity to meet someone. And I feel like I'm really, ready and like more than the average person my age. And then it just makes me sad because I'm just like, I'm not going to go on apps because I'm not going to, I just feel like it's not safe right now for me. It's not safe to be meeting people. I just don't know how people are going to take it seriously if I do meet you and like a year in and it's great. And then we get into the real world. And then I found out you're actually like really shitty to waiters or something, or like you're really shitty when hanging out with your friends. And I think that's another thing that scares me because I'm just like, well, this isn't real life. Like right now isn't real life. So we can have this fairy tale with this person. And then we get into the real world and actually like is not what we thought at all. So that's just kind of mindset because I'm just like, I feel like before COVID, I was like, the last couple of years have been a little rough and like a lot of aspects with my job and like dating and mentally and stuff. And so when I hit like 25, I really felt like an internal shift of like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I feel like I went through the growing years. I feel like, now I'm on my second job. I know what it's like to be laid off. I know what it's like to like, break up with the love of your life. I know what it's like to do all these things. And I feel like I'm ready. And then COVID happened and just feels like, okay, pause, like for like a year, which really sucks. So that's just how I've been feeling.
I think that's why personally, like I want to give people grace in a sense when it comes to just dating in general during this time, because it's hard right now. It's hard to just put your life on pause. It's hard to give someone else emotional energy and emotional support when you have to put your life on pause. It's hard to say, well, I'm not going to hang out with anyone and completely isolate myself when we are social. Humans are social. So I think it's just so important to like give ourselves patience and give ourselves grace and like take opportunities as they come, but just be smart and as cautious as you possibly can. But like, don't beat yourself up about stuff like at all.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's like being kind of impatient, but like I did work on being patient. So I kind of felt like it was like, okay, I worked on being patient. It's not like I've had things here and there, but like technically my last like a formal relationship was July 4th. It'll be 3 years ago, like that it ended. So it's like, okay, I feel like I did put in the internal work. I feel like I put in the experience. I put in that and I feel internally it's ready. And then it just makes me so sad because I'm just like, wow, COVID is really about to be here for like average another year. Like, and then I'll be hitting 4 years. And then it's just like, I'm ready to like move on. Like, I don't really need the whole like internal analyzing and stuff. And so it's just like, wow, COVID's really like preventing any type of like growth in that area.
I give you so much, dude. Because I even had the thought of, okay, I feel like I'm changing. I feel like I've had this big movement, this big inner shift. And now I'm ready to like give that to the world. But it's like, there's no world to give it to. And then on top of that, just the idea of dating right now, it's like, okay, having someone is always great, especially when you're going through something that's more emotionally stressful. But what if I do all of this work to meet someone and then it's like you said, they're crappy to waiters, or they're like actually a psychopath, or they chew too loudly. And it's like, I didn't know that because we were just hanging out on Skype and on the phone. It's like, should I even try? But at the same time, I've done all this great inner work and I'm ready to have someone. I'm ready to date. I'm ready to find someone. Like, I'm finally ready to do the work. But now my life is on pause.
Yeah. And I guess we're taking a more of like a negative outlook on it because, I was just so hesitant because I'm just like, maybe my views will change in a month or two. And I feel better than earlier this week, but it's just like, when you're in a relationship, you see how people interact. Like they invite you over to their friends' game night or whatever. You see how they interact with their friends. You see how their friends are. You see the type of company they like to keep. They interact with their parents. That's a huge, these are pivotal things in relationships where it's like, imagine doing all that and they're fucking awful to their mom, or like they are spitting in waiter's face. Their friends are trash. Like, and it's just like all these things are preventing you from like kind of doing the early stages. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm usually not the, negative, but it's just like, it's hard not to think about that. Like,
it's really daunting, and it really kind of makes you like, dating's tough, but at the same time, like,
you got to put yourself out there too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we want to go into little tips section.
Yeah, let's go tips.
Okay, so I just came up with some tips from my own noggin. So here they are. Here they are, world. If you've been thinking about dating lately, give it a try. New experiences never hurt. And that's always been kind of my outlook, COVID or no. Like, if you've never tried Tinder, give it a try. Why not? Like, no better time like the present. Which moves us to our next point. If you decide to give these new experiences a try, be honest with yourself and with the people you are talking to about your expectations and how much you're willing to extend yourself. I definitely saw this somewhat during, being on apps while COVID. And it will be kind of like, you're talking to someone regularly and then they kind of disappear for a while and then they pop up saying stuff like, I just had a really hard week, or I didn't really feel like talking to someone. And that's fine. Completely great in voicing those things. But at the same time, if you're finding that you cannot talk to someone because you cannot give any extra emotion, then maybe dating is not for you right now. Be open to talking on the phone and FaceTiming. I think this goes without, be open to it. You can't really hang out with people all the time. So, like, don't be afraid of talking on the phone, which millennials are so afraid of talking on the phone. Have you guys ever heard this before? Is this just...
I've heard that, but I love talking on the phone.
Yeah. No, like, I feel like if we talk on the phone, like, I'm okay with it, but I like phone conversations that have like an agenda, or like we were like filling each other in on stuff that's happened, because I feel like there is a danger where you get on the phone and it's just like 3 hours of just like jumble where I'm just like, I can't. Especially during COVID.
Yeah. The only time I'm not open to it, and this happened a whole bunch before COVID actually, is when you meet a guy on one of these dating apps and immediately he's like, let's FaceTime you.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, that's so annoying.
If I'm a real person, like, you can do that. And I don't know, you can do that in like a less aggressive way, as soon as we start texting, be like, let me FaceTime you. It's like, all right, FaceTiming, just like, bro, it's 8:00 at night. Like,
let's just meet up tomorrow.
Like, let's meet up tomorrow, bro, chill. But anyway, next, have some phone sex.
That was my favorite one. I saw that and I was like, yes, Janae, just put it in there.
I feel like we're not going to be getting physical for like a little while. So as long as you trust that person and you feel like you know them enough, have some phone sex. Maybe send some pictures over Snapchat if you don't necessarily trust them to not send your photos to their friends.
Also, remember, you can save Snapchat though. That pedophile dude found that out the hard way on the actor. Forgot his name.
Oh, Chris D'Elia.
Yeah, did you see that video where he was like, "Wait, you can save things on Snapchat?"
No, I did not see. I saw the allegations. I was like, I'm not diving into this just yet.
It looked like his spirit left his body because he realized, oh shit! Like,
and didn't he play like a molester and stuff? Multiple
in You.
But he played, I think, also in Workaholics or something. It was definitely more than one thing.
That's just too close.
Yep, it's weird.
But yeah, like Janae, like even you said, like if you trust someone, but like even if like you feel like you don't like know that person that well, you just started talking. Like if y'all want to just like sext a little, like I don't think there's any harm in that.
I don't think there's any harm in it whatsoever if you are a consenting adult who is smart enough to not put your face in those pictures. Like, it's not Degrassi. Honestly and truthfully, have some fun. Let your tits out. Like, it's 2020. Coronavirus is here. If you need a release, get you a damn release. Next, be smart about meeting up. Do you both have roommates? Do you live with older people? Are you wearing masks? Are you using hand sanitizer? These are just questions to ask yourself when you embark on these journeys of meeting strangers during COVID-19. And then my last point, give yourself grace. This is a hard time. If it's too hard to talk to someone just because they're all up in your phone, don't hesitate to cut it off. Like, if you're having a hard time juggling different relationships with people, then like I said earlier, maybe dating's not for you, but don't beat yourself up about it. Like, this is a lot for all of us to handle right now. And we don't have time to be wasting other people's time. Like, after COVID is over, killer hornets might come, or like aliens or something. So I don't know, just don't
take me to the king. Okay. That's how I feel on that. Okay, I went over most of the thoughts and tips, but the two things I did want to say was take time to really think about what you want and learn from the past, which I think Amari and Janae, you guys said that you were kind of taking this time. I think that's really smart. And then the other thing is, like, always consider your mental health before dating. Like, I feel like we live in a society where it's pressure to date multiple people and in a relationship or all this stuff. And it's like, it's okay if you're not feeling it mentally, like, do not engage in that type of culture. I really wish we would be more vocal about that than the whole gotta date 10 people at one time, like I said before, but like really consider your mental health during this time. And my last question or thing before we get into social responses is, I was talking about this with another group of friends, but how do you guys feel about like exes reaching out during specifically COVID? Because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little offended that none of my exes or ex-flings contacted me, because I was like, everyone has, oh, their exes are contacting me, and I was like, does no one like me? Did you guys ever like me? Or I was just like, I'm a little offended. Or is it that that I'm never gonna respond, which is true. I'm probably not gonna respond or like you. So I was like, maybe you actually respect me and you're like, he is not with the shits. Don't contact her. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that their thoughts behind reaching out to you or not is, and this is going to sound harsh, but I don't mean it in a harsh way. It's not going to
be harsh. It's not, but it made me feel bad just because everyone was like all this stuff. And then I was just like, it just made me reassess like the type of relationship I had with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't go down that road. Like, it's so not worth it because it's over.
That's true.
We were talking before this podcast, and I've had an ex reach out several times, and it's just kind of like navigating that situation is another emotional task that I just don't feel equipped to do right now. So it's honestly more of a headache than if he didn't reach out, bro.
And I should be happy about it, but I was just like, oh, here's the ego coming in.
Yeah. Don't take it too personal, because I think the one like thread is that like the people who are reaching out, it's because they're kind of messy. And the people who are responding, it's because they're also too kind of messy. And I am that person, and I am in that situation. So like, it's like, I mean, you're kind of like, oh, like, why aren't they? But also like, I think they're, the people who probably aren't reaching out have a more understanding and a respect for how that relationship ended and are choosing to abide by that. The other people who are crawling their way back in, it's because it's like a little messy.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. That made me feel a little better. And not that I cared that much. Like, I'm trying to move forward, but I was just like, it just made me think because people were bringing it up, and I was like, oh, but that literally hasn't happened.
No, because it's like, one, like, okay, are they bored? Two, are they reaching out because they feel like they messed up like a good thing? And do they only feel like they messed up a good thing because their prospects in the future of having another good thing are slim now because of COVID?
True, and I'd be more offended if you did that.
Right. So there's like all these like, different factors that go into. So I wouldn't take it as to say there's anything like, on your part.
Just okay, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't, you should not waste any time thinking that it has anything to do with you whatsoever. Because either way, it's annoying as hell.
True.
Either way, for whatever reason, it's annoying as hell, especially if you're over, if you're done, if you just want to be past that situation. It's like,
and especially if you're not even over it too, like if you have lingering feelings and this person comes back in, you also might, knowing you might enter a situation that is not healthy for you or good for you.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's the universe looking out.
It's out, Kia. It's looking out.
Okay, that made me feel better. I'm glad we talked about this. This was low-key my therapy, guys. I'm not going to lie. Because it was an emotional week.
Why aren't they reaching out to me?
See, I told you guys I have an ego. I'm also trying to address my flaws. It's a flaw. I have a big ego. So I'm just saying. Do we want to go into audience responses? Okay, guys. Well, we asked you, some things on Twitter, Instagram. I'll go first, Amari.
Okay.
I did a poll on Twitter, and I asked you guys, has the coronavirus pandemic affected your views on dating? 27.3% of you guys said it has no effect. 63.6% of you guys said views are more negative, and 9.1% said positive, more positive. I'm really happy about that. And then I asked, wait, what did you say?
I said, yay, 9%.
I know. I honestly thought it was going to be 0. Not going to lie. So I asked like a little more open-ended, and oh, wow, someone said I got a good story for y'all, but she didn't say it. Shit. Sorry. That's my bad. I didn't see that response till now. But then I asked on my personal Twitter, and someone said, girl, I don't know. Nowadays, it's looking like the supermarket is the spot. Then my one friend responded to that and said, the supermarket is the new club. And then someone else said, I don't know, it's peaks and valleys. I was for sure optimistic in the beginning. I had more time and I even decided to give dating apps a try. Then I gave dating apps a try and now I feel hopeless. Someone else said, honestly hopeless, but trying to be more half glass full now that things are slowly opening up.
Honestly, dating apps have such a way of making things feel uniquely hopeless. Once again, everyone should give dating apps a try. Like everyone should have to try, because I think everyone should know what it feels like to get rejected based off of your looks, but also have.
Damn.
No, wait.
No way. Rachel reclined.
Also have positive experiences with dating someone, and you're like, oh my God, look at all these matches I got. They're hot. What does that mean? I'm hot? Wow. Everyone should have that experience. But dating apps have a way of just making it like, damn, this is hopeless. I might be the only.
No, I definitely feel that every time I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back on the apps, and then I get on the apps, I'm like, okay, I need to get off, because like you either get a bunch of matches, you get a whole bunch of rejections, or the matches like don't end up, being a good thing. So, yeah. But Kia, that was on Twitter and Instagram?
That was just Twitter. I can do the Instagram if you want.
Okay, yeah, you can start off with your Instagram.
Okay, so I asked it on the personal Instagram, and let's see what you guys said. I said, has the pandemic changed your views on dating? 48% said yes, and 52% said no. So that's quite interesting. I'll read some of the responses. I said, explain why or why not. Someone said, because people think to play with others' emotions. I think that's a little internal. Okay. Being alone at this time makes me appreciate the close people I admire. That's what someone said. If nothing changed you during this rough year, LOL, people need a wake-up call. Someone said men were annoying before COVID-19 and continue to remain annoying during COVID-19. Someone said already married. Someone said it's actually pushing people to be more creative with dating. Someone said nobody wants me. Someone said never been on a Someone said never been on a date and just want to put myself out there. Someone else said maybe since people can't see each other, it can make them actually get to know each other. like Love is Blind. And someone said, I really got in touch with myself and I really like myself. So any boyfriend would have to be addictive.
Okay, so I asked the same question on our social and on my personal, but I'll start off with our social first. So I said, has COVID-19 impacted your views on dating? 73% said yes, and 27% said no. And some of their answers include, which I thought some people were very funny. Someone said, I can't fuck anyone until there's a vaccine, and someone needs to tell my hormones this. I felt that. Someone said, less likely to bullshit now. I am more direct in what I want. We've definitely covered that today. Someone else said, I met my boyfriend in May online. For me, it's not playing the game of dating, tiptoeing around stuff. So I guess being more direct. And then someone else says, I just have less interest now. And that was on our so-called Oreos page. On my personal page, I think the numbers were slightly different. Sorry, I'm pulling up I do a lot of stories, guys, so it's hard to pull it up. Okay, so someone said, so the poll was 87% said yes and 13% said no. And I think I only got I got 2 responses for why or why not. Someone says it's made people make fast decisions on how serious or not serious their relationship is. And another person said, realizing that dates and men are not an essential service.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Hey.
They're not essential, guys. I mean, unless you want a baby, I guess. No, not even really.
No, they're still kind of essential because you need sperm at some point.
Yeah, but you could go to the sperm bank if you really don't want to deal with their emotions. Yeah, adopt. You don't really need them.
Yeah.
So those were, I love the responses from people. I thought they were really good.
Yeah, you guys are funny. Keep engaging with us.
Yes, keep it
I'm not salty. Rachel, do you want to give us some mental health talk?
Yes. So I found this article on joinonelove.org, and it posted an article about toxic relationships titled Relationship Trouble. Is it your partner or your mental health condition? Here's how to know the difference. So 1, unhealthy relationships may be unusually intense. When our mental health is out of balance, we crave stability. And though rushing into things with your partner may feel like a quick fix, it's not. Child Mind Institute psychologist Dr. Alexandra Hamlet says, it's important to set ground rules in the beginning of your relationship to set a tone, or boundaries that ensure the relationship moves at a pace you're both comfortable with. Describing what you need, especially when it comes to mental health, helps you get on the same page with your partner. 2, unhealthy relationships may feel isolating. Dr. Hamlet says isolation is how unhealthy relationships are able to stay unhealthy, and the first step to ending it is recognizing it. If you're starting to see yourself censor things with certain people who you know are usually helpful and compassionate, then you really know you're in an unhealthy situation. Try to notice those changes in your own behavior. 3, unhealthy partners are manipulative. Manipulation is when someone tries to unfairly influence or control your actions and feelings in a way that benefits them. In an unhealthy relationship, you may notice power imbalances build or feel like everything depends on keeping your partner happy by putting your own feelings on the back burner. Oftentimes, in an unhealthy relationship, one party uses strategies to achieve their own goals and needs, and those tactics are often ineffective at maintaining a healthy, stable union. 4, unhealthy partners may gaslight you. Gaslighting is an emotional abuse tactic that unhealthy partners can use to make you second guess yourself. If it's happening to you, you might think, maybe I'm just overreacting. Every time something your partner does makes you uncomfortable, or you might find yourself apologizing for things that aren't actually your fault. And lastly, seek outside help if you believe you're in a toxic relationship. Even if you may need to bring in the support of a therapist or trusted friend, know that you have what it takes to know whether your partner or mental health condition is behind the uneasiness in your relationship. Trust your gut. Ask for help when you need it.
Very important. Very important.
Amen. Wait, what was the thing you said about isolation? Were you saying that contributes to a toxic relationship, or?
Yes. So basically, if your partner is making you feel like you can't reach out to your friends, or they like kind of like controlling you and making you just be only available to them. So if you're like a social person and you're always hanging out with your friends and family, and you get into this relationship and your partner's like, oh, like, why are you always hanging out with your friends and family? You can't hang out with them. You should just only hang out with me. Like that. If they're isolating you, then that's a problem. That's a sign of toxicity.
And that can really happen, like, especially now. Like, if you live with a toxic partner, and it's like, they could really, like, be like, well, you literally can't see anyone else. And, like,
that's why there's been, like, a lot of discussion or, like, news about, you know, like, domestic violence and, like, the increase in how, you know, like, not home isn't safe for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad. I'll jump right into my segment next. Subject line is, my friends care, but not enough. So Rose writes, I'm really struggling with two of my white friends. Both of these people have been in my life for years. Like, we met in grade school, and I was even a bridesmaid at one of their weddings. Since the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor have been heavily politicized, I've been taking note of a lot of my white friends' behaviors. These two friends have been vocal on social media and have reached out to lend their support and assure me that they have been trying to educate themselves. But when it came time to go to a march or protest, neither of them pulled through. One friend says her anxiety is too bad for crowds, and the other is worried about the health of her older relatives. Although I know I can't necessarily get angry at these two very valid reasons, I can't help but feel like they are excuses. I can't help but feel that there would be other excuses bubbling up if not for these ones. As they both talked about not being able, to go, my inner voice was screaming, you can't get over this for me. My humanity is constantly being called into question, and you have anxiety. These are my last two friends from my hometown for a reason, but now I'm really grappling with the idea of cutting them off. Am I bugging for this one?
Oh, this was such a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling with it a little bit, answering it. Because the biggest thing that I pulled from this is that you felt that there would be another excuse had it not have been for the anxiety and the older parents. And to me, that is the issue, that you doubted your friends and thought that there would be another excuse. And for me, for that specific reason, I say, maybe it's time to reevaluate your friendship with them, because you obviously, to me, this seems to be rooted in something deeper than just them not being able to march. It seems like you have other reason to doubt their alignment with social justice and trying to spark change as white people in this country. So I think that's something to examine.
I definitely agree with you on that, Janae. And I think because also the hard thing too is that, like, I, as a Black person, have not gone to a march, and that is because I live with two autoimmune compromised people. I also do have major anxiety in crowds. Like, on a good day, I'm not going into a crowd of people. But I also think we have this idea. It's like, your lane in this movement may not be protesting. Your lane may be, rallying behind the scenes to organize protests or to, like, do the background work of education. For me, I feel like more so my lane is maybe like writing about these issues. And unfortunately, I feel like there's this, I found myself personally reaching more people with my writing than like posting up in Beeville, which also I'm scared of because it's Beeville. So yeah, I think it's hard, but I think, like Janae said, the problem is that you have a feeling that if it wasn't COVID or if it wasn't this particular moment, it would be another excuse. So I think that's what you need to dig into. And also, like, it could have been a fair question to be like, okay, guys, you're protesting, you're not doing this, but like, what are you doing in substitute of the protesting? Like, are you donating? Are you having these conversations with families? Like, what are you doing to make up for the fact that you're not putting your body out there? So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like the underlying of like, I feel like they would have had another excuse. So like deep down, they like actually don't care. Like they're doing that whole, like, I could post it on social media, but I'm not really going to do the work. And honestly, I say flat out ask them. Like I would honestly just ask like, hey, if it wasn't for that, would you actually really be going out? Like they could lie. I'm just saying, but it could be, you could also be like, okay, so what else are you doing instead? Since crowds give me anxiety and I feel like, you want to support the movement. I'm just curious to how you want to go about supporting it since crowds isn't really your thing. Because I think that's okay to hold people accountable. Like, and if they're not really like, and you still see that, they have a bunch of excuses, then maybe it's time to reevaluate if that's the type of people you want to bring into your life. And like we did a whole episode on the 8 million ways you could be an ally. So it's not just like crowds. And like Amari said, you could use a platform. If you're good at writing, write something. If you're good at, podcasting, if you have social media followers, do something. But we address the million ways that people, don't have to have an excuse. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about cutting them off right away, but you know them better than we know your relationship with them. So if you feel like this itch and it's, not just this, it's multiple things, then maybe it is time to cut it off.
And also like the person mentioned that they like reached out to her and that they've been like posting on social, but I think there's also this misconceptions like, yeah, I feel like white people will sometimes feel like they're doing the work because they're reaching out to like their sole Black friend or like the Black people in their life. And like, that's not like, yeah, it's great that you care about me, but like, I need you to care about all Black people right now. Yeah. So while I appreciate you reaching out to me, like, what are you doing to extend yourself to the Black community as a whole?
That's so beautifully said.
So absolutely beautifully said, because I will say that like I've had some great conversations with my white friends during this time, but at the same time, it is a little bit frustrating to feel like, oh, you're reaching out. Are you reaching out to me right now just for pity? Kind of like, so I can validate you and tell you, oh, you're not a bad friend. You're not a bad white person. Or are you reaching out to me because, this is a shitty time and you'd reach out to me regardless? It's definitely an interesting thing to be a Black person right now and to have white people in your life. And it's like, it's kind of like, I don't know who I can trust. I don't know who I can't trust. I don't know who's just trying to usurp energy from me and validation. But anyway, if all hearts and minds are clear, I think it's time to wrap up, ladies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this week's episode. Follow us on all of our social media at So-Called Oreos, and you can email us. Shoot us a comment, shoot us a question, just say hello at socalledoreos@gmail.com. Also fill out our survey. It's on all of our social media. Help us help you. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. And please remember to like, rate, and subscribe and leave a review. Until then, bye.
Bye y'all.